more shields at the venue. That's my goal. And the only way we can get to it is if every single one of you help me. So can I see a raise of hands as to how many will help? That's 100%. I like it. Thank you. So also, now
you want to also add the Meetup.
and Meetup. Don't forget Meetup.com. You can also add all your friends to that also. It's www.meetup.com/Genuine Networking Association.
You don't know it by heart?
No, I cheat.
It's pretty simple.
So, that is all I'm going to talk about that. If you have more questions, feel free to come up after the meeting, and we'll certainly be able to help you. Now, how many of you came to hear me talk today?
No.
I know one person in this room right now that would rather me be doing the presentation than him. Because he's all the way in the back by now. He's probably feeling the butterflies, probably getting a little nervous. So that's okay, we're going to help him out. Our featured guest speaker today, I'm trying to change it up a little bit. David Pacheco, who's all the way in the back, he didn't let me have fun and send him to the back. But he is a IT person. He comes from the background of IT. He also, on the side, does Marcellus. By the way, I'm just reading my script, so don't get mad at me. That specializes in helping people achieve a healthy lifestyle while creating an additional income stream. David is going to talk to us today about highlights from Blair Singer's Sales and Leadership Mastery Program. I know personally that David went a few weeks ago to a 2-day seminar and he brought back a lot of good information. So he's going to share some nuggets. How many of you bought notebook, pens, paper? Pull them out because I guarantee you're going to want to take notes. Nice, I like that background. So at this time, why don't we all stand up and give David Pacheco a nice round of
How's the sound? Can you hear me? Good?
Turn it on.
Turn it on. How about now?
Yeah.
Welcome everybody.
Oh, he's taking my chair.
Back. I've been gone for a couple weeks because of the IT background, traveling a bit. So I was actually in Houston for a couple weeks. Got a couple more trips coming up, but I will be here as often as I can. I wanted to come here today and share the information on that. I actually am part of a mentoring coaching group, and that because of their relationship, I got invited to attend this Blair Singer event at a pretty substantial discount. I thought at first it was like, well, it's one more seminar to go to, but once I kind of found out the value of this seminar and how much I actually paid to attend, I realized it really was a special event to attend. So this was about 2 weeks ago. It was in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's Blair Singer. Who here has heard of Blair Singer? He knows who he is. Who's heard of Robert Kiyosaki? Good morning. So Blair Singer, about 5 or 6 years ago, became an advisor for Robert Kiyosaki, his advisor series. And Robert Kiyosaki had written Rich Dad Poor Dad, a couple other books, the ABCs of Building Your Team. This is where Blair Singer came in and actually wrote the book called Sales Dogs, which really classified people as are you a Chihuahua? Are you a Pit Bull? Are you a Poodle? And so if you've never read that book and you're into sales and marketing, another highly recommended read for you to look at. It's been part of Robert Kiyosaki's library of things. So Blair Singer was actually one of the first advisors that Robert Kiyosaki invited to join his team to actually author and co-brand some of these books and put out. And so Blair Singer is a sales marketing leader. He's been around for years, been mentored and coached by some amazing people. And he has a new book out that is part of while he's going through these things called Little Voice Mastery. So this was another key part of the concepts of what I learned that weekend while I was at the seminar. So if you're interested in this also, I believe some people on our team actually have copies of this. We can get you copies at our discount that we got them for. So if you're interested in reading this book, I've already finished it. It's a great read, and Sean has read it. So it's a really exciting way for us to learn how to master that little voice inside your head, that one that tells you, the little angel, the demon on both shoulders that tells you and talks you out of things or talks you into things. So that's what he helps you go through. So basically, with Blair Singer, he put on this presentation. It was a very special event for us because this is the last one that he's going to put on personally. He's actually turning over the seminar series to his advisors, his sales partners to present from now on, and he's moving on to newer and bigger things. So it's kind of nice to see Blair Singer in person get presented to in person and actually get to hear these teachings from the man who came up with them and wrote them. So that's a little bit about that. What we're going to cover today, I was there for a whole weekend, long days. We were there till 11:30 at night, started at 8 o'clock in the morning, 2 long, intensive days. So I said we have nuggets. I picked out a few of the slides that I really thought were key concepts that really helped me, the ones that I had starred and highlighted. So when I came back and I was looking through my notes, these are the concepts that I thought are going to help me the most with my business, and I hope can also help you. There's one note I wanted to read, actually, out of his book. There's one point that he made while he was starting up and teaching us the conference. This is kind of an important key concept. It's in his acknowledgments. Let me just read this to you briefly. He says, "Nothing in this book is original. As a matter of fact, if I hear one more person quote Anthony Robbins, Napoleon Hill, or Socrates and claim it to be their own, or without acknowledging where it came from, I will personally choke them. The true sign of leadership is a willingness to acknowledge and honor source, done with honor and humility, that you can truly call it your own." So that's the motto he lives by. And these topics I'm covering today aren't new. They aren't new from Blair Singer. They aren't new from me. It's just a culmination of lots of knowledge and information that we can all help propel our businesses forward. So with that, let me review the topics we're going to cover. We're going to talk about teaching your team to sell at all levels of your business, about how to build rapport, why that's important, about your own self-concept and how that really affects how you sell and how you are successful in business, the relationship of emotion versus intelligence, how those two relate, and then how you can build your credibility. So that's really all I've pulled out of the entire weekend is these 5 concepts. I'm going to give you 5 slides. I'm going to try and recreate them exactly as Blair Singer wrote them. I recommend writing the slides down because that's really what helped me remember these concepts. If I just took a bunch of notes and I'm reading through it, I probably wouldn't have recalled a lot. But when I go through my notes and I see, the drawing of the slide and my notes next to it, then those concepts start flooding back into my head. So I recommend to the rest of your ability, write these down, take some notes, and hopefully you can apply these to your own businesses. That's my intent of coming here. So let's begin. That's my first slide. I've got my colored markers, so I'm trying to recreate the good old Blair Singer methodology. But the first thing I talked about is teaching your team to sell, how important a concept that is in your business. So let me start by drawing a slide for you. So this is like your business. You have a few key concepts here. And we want to teach your team to sell. Now, the key concepts he brought up here is that everybody in your organization, whether they're the front office, their support, the salesperson, of course, but anybody that your customer comes in contact with needs to know how to sell. That's an important concept, because if your customer has a problem and you have a support issue and your sales support people don't really know how to sell the relationship and keep that customer happy, that's a point of sale. So you have to realize that anywhere in your organization, selling is a very key concept. Also, you brought up that selling requires energy. If you don't have energy, you're not going to be very successful at selling. So the person with the most energy wins. So if you have a sales situation where you have 2 different salespeople coming in to sell you something, the person that you connect with that has the most energy, that seems lively, seems successful, that's the person that you're going to buy from. Not the person that comes in with their head down, kind of kicking their shoes, and just not really having that energy. You're not going to want to buy from that person. So selling is the #1 skill for an entrepreneur. And as a business owner, most of your job is keeping your team's energy up. Especially in multi-level marketing, you realize if you build a team, keeping their energy up, keeping their focus up is a huge part of your job. That really is your main focus. And also applies to regular businesses as well. It's helping your team keep their energy up so they know how to sell and they can promote your business. So you must teach your team to sell. And there are a couple of key parts on the bottom of systems that are a very important part of that. So let me write those down for you. First one he mentioned what systems do you have in place to help train your people to sell? Do you have good tools? Do you have good training materials? Do you actually put them through a training, or do you just kind of hire someone, put them out there, and hope for the best? So systems are very important. Of course, again, with network marketing, most of those systems are pre-built. No matter what company you're in, you're going to have good tools, good videos, good seminars to take people to, so you're going to have the systems to support your people to teach them how to sell. Especially if someone doesn't have that background, coming to network marketing or any other sales job, if they're a salesperson for whatever company you have, they need to learn how to sell, and that's very important to have the systems in place. Second, accountability. And what this means from a business standpoint is accountability to numbers. Is as you sell and as your team sells, do you actually track your sales? Do you know where people are at? Is someone struggling? Is someone your rock star? You need to know and actually track your numbers so you can know where you're at. If you don't track, how do you know if you're being successful? You might be doing you think it's okay, but your numbers actually tell you a different story. So accountability to numbers, having posted on the wall, having sales contests, all those types of things really help your team learn how to sell, along with the systems they have. And finally, kind of the most important part is down here at the bottom. This is where you spend a lot of time talking to us, actually. You cover these first concepts, but really your code of honor. And that is you as a person. What is your personal code of honor for how you sell, how you run your business, how you deal with your clients, your customers, how you deal with your team? So the code of honor is a set of rules that maintain a standard of performance and behavior that is congruent with the goals that you are going for. So one of the first things you do is establish your code of honor. What types of mottos do you put in place in your organization? No man left behind. That you'll do whatever it takes as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral to win. Everybody in the team must learn how to sell. No blaming, no finger pointing. So establish those rules first, because once you're establishing your business and building your team, that's a great time to actually establish your code of honor. As you bring someone on, share with them that your business mission statement, other things like that. You tell them this is how we operate in our business. Like we had a great example of our code of honor for the GNA. Thanks, Ron. We share that with us. We have a new code of honor. The Terminator comes in and establishes the code of honor. You don't go by the code of honor, you're terminated, right?
That's right.
So that's a very germane point that Blair Singer highlighted again, that when everything's fine, but once it starts to fall apart, that's when the code of honor really takes place and holds up your organization. So if someone breaches the code, anybody in the team has the right to call them on it. So whether it's the boss breaches the code of honor, an employee can walk up to them and say, hey, you promised us you wouldn't do this, or you would do this, and they can be called on it. And if you establish the code of honor, there's no hard feelings. People understand this is how we run our business. So that's pretty much the first slide. So teaching your team to sell, and establishing your code of honor. And that's a really important concept to, again, have success. Let's move on to our second concept, which is building rapport. To my slide. Hold on a second. I think Blair Singer has done this from memory. He's done this a few times more than I have. So the second one is rapport. So here again, the key concept is how to build rapport. Of course, we have a leg up on the competition. This organization, that's really what we do, is we build rapport. People do business with those that they know, like, trust. You've heard that a million times. And that's really building your rapport. So when you meet someone, how do you establish rapport? What steps can you take to elevate your appearance or your understanding of that person, of how you are, how you do business, what kind of person you are? And you brought out that there's 3 key parts to building that rapport. So let's build that. First one. First one is to be interested. When someone's talking, be interested. That's from your body language. Do you lean forward? Are you leaning back with your arms crossed? Are you actually hearing what they say? Are you paying attention? Are you checking your text? Are you like looking at a quick voice note? Does your phone go off? All these things, again, are signs that you're not really interested in what they're saying. And if someone feels you're not interested, they're not going to be interested in you, and that rapport is just going to go right down. The second one is shared reality. Again, these are all key concepts of things that we actually established with our one-on-ones. So shared reality is, what do you have in common? What things do you do that that person does that you relate to? And then with Len, we're talking about wine tasting, talking about different things that aren't necessarily business related, but the more you talk about it, the more you actually like someone because you have common interest. So let's find out what things that you have in common. That's really a key part of the one-on-one, is establish that. What are those things that you have a shared reality on? And the last one is verify. What this means is you actually ask questions. When someone says what they say to you, verify. Actually ask them, so what you said was this, did I get that correctly? It shows that you're actually listening. It shows that you have interest in them, and it shows you value what they say. If you just kind of, they're in a conversation and someone's talking and you're thinking about what am I going to say next, you don't really acknowledge what they're saying, they're going to notice that and they're not going to like you, they're not going to build rapport, and you're not going to sell. It's kind of a foundational part of that. So one key phrase you said here is, make sure you go into their world first. That's the important part of the one-on-one and building rapport, is go into their world, see what's interesting to them, and then you can build and establish your rapport. Okay, that's the second key concept. We keep rolling through here. These are a couple of the ones that, as I heard, I took furious notes on and really began to look at a lot. So the next one we talk about is the relationship of emotion versus intelligence. Does anyone know what the relationship is? By people who've read the books or heard this before. Anyone? Emotion versus intelligence, what's the relationship of those two things? These are perplexed eyes. Well, let me start with this. One key point in that made is that when emotion is high, where do you think intelligence goes? So, it's the blood. So, when emotion's high and you're heated and animated, then of course the converse side of that is intelligence is low. So where we look at this is, you see, as you're in a situation where your emotions are high, if you're being attacked or challenged or you're uncomfortable and your emotions a little bit higher, your intelligence is going to start to go down. People are going to ask you questions and you're going to get that, as he called the goldfish there. It's like, people ask you questions, you're just like, So the way he actually covers this is the whole exercise he has about objections. How do you handle objections? Especially in a sales situation. You're talking to a prospect, and they come at you with some objection, they throw it at you, and you're like, it's not, that happens, but if you have that look, you've already lost. You've already pretty much, because your emotion now raised up, your intelligence has dropped, and you really don't have the ability to come at them in a very intelligent way. So the way he actually suggests going at this is to drill and grill on it. To actually take practice, work at the common objections and really work through them. And his recommended approach is two things. First, acknowledge and ask. So once someone comes at you with an objection, we talked before, you want to acknowledge the objection. Notice I heard what you said, acknowledge what they said, and then ask a question. Because in a situation of sales, the person who asks the question is in control of the conversation. You notice that you're having a conversation with someone, all of a sudden you feel like I'm being led because they're asking you questions. They took control of the conversation and they're asking you questions. So with objections especially, if you can actually acknowledge it, show you've heard them, ask a question, turn the conversation around, and it gets back into a dialogue. So we have a couple examples. I'm actually going to invite a friend of mine, Shauna, who was actually at the seminar with me. We're going to just go over. We actually spent probably 2 or 3 hours doing all these exercises and going through it. But I'm going to show you just an example of what we do. So we're gonna just role play a couple of objections. So this is what we're doing around the table, as a group, and then also on stage. So my goal is on a question to acknowledge your question and then ask a return question, acknowledge your objection. And also with that is you want to make sure that if you make a mistake in the exercise, she'll call me on it. She'll stop, start over again. She'll say the objection again. If I stutter, get the goldfish face, don't know what I'm doing, stop it and do it again. So we're going to throw a couple common objections that you might hear, and I'm going to just acknowledge them and ask a question, turn it around. I'm not saying I'm professional, this is the best possible way, but it's a good drill to go through. So I'm in a sales situation, I'm talking to her about my business, and I presented a few facts that you might say.
Is this one of those pyramid schemes?
Never heard of that. So, I'm sorry, I guess.
Stop.
Stop. Idiot.
Is this one of those pyramid schemes?
Well, that's a very interesting observation. I asked why is it you think that? So, not the most high-level response, but it's better than not really kind of, so it's acknowledge and ask a question. Or how about not a...
How much money is this going to cost?
Stop.
How much money is this going to cost?
That's a very common objection I hear. Well, how much is it you feel comfortable spending? Not bad. Not bad. And how about one more?
I've tried these things a million times and they never work.
I've heard that a lot of times. I don't totally understand how you feel, but when I ask why you have that observation, again, not the best thing, but at least it gets you thinking the right path. Now, one part of the drill that I'm going to do that's kind of funny right now is he said drill and grill. That was a drill. Now, as a grill, here's an example of how you took it to the next level.
I've told you, I've done these things a million times and they never work.
Wow, I'm really sorry you're upset about that. Can I ask what happened? So, the key is, thank you, give Sean a hand. So, the key is on that isn't so much are you perfect, but it's actually prepare some of the common objections. And what he actually has is a card deck that you go through with objections and great ways to acknowledge and turn it around. So that's a good thing to do. You can make your own, obviously, go through your common business objections and drill and grill. And the point you made is once you grill, when someone yells at you, we were actually getting pretty robust, I would say, at the conference. Like, you're an idiot! Getting someone's face as a friend of yours. If you can deal with that, then when you walk into this environment and someone says, this thing costs too much, it seems easy. So that, I can talk about that because you've been used to someone yelling at you or giving you that harder approach, which once you practice at a higher level, doing it at a lower level becomes much easier. So that was that. And then one last point I wanted to make up is the thing about the elevator pitch, which is very common. So who here has what they think is a really good elevator pitch? As you prepared, I asked you, hey, what do you do? Would feel comfortable just saying they have it. Who will raise their hand and say that? A couple?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6. And that's good for those that have it. For those that don't, you might get also again stuck in that goldfish face. What do you do? And you start stumbling and you don't want to sell, you kind of give it a certain little dance, and so you really go through that. So the slide you gave us for that, just to kind of cover that real briefly. I'm not going to go through the entire, obviously, the whole way, but I want to give you some highlights of things to think about. So, elevator pitch is all about your credibility. So when someone asks you, what do, you want to be able to share something with them that actually establishes your credibility. So a couple of the key points that you mentioned to go over or to include in that are so when someone asks you a question, these are the types of things you want to make sure are in your elevator pitch. What experience do you have? You or your group? Some time period. If you've been in it for years, is it a new thing? Establish your credibility. Then some numbers, some specifics. People want to hear specific numbers. Is it sales? Is it results? Is it that type of thing? And that leads you into results. What have people done or can do doing what you're talking about? But if your elevator pitch doesn't include those 4 things, you might be missing the boat on some stuff. So for example, imagine someone walks up to me and says, so what do you do, Dave? I'm like, well, I do this health challenge. There's shakes, and there's vitamins, and people can make money, and it's pretty good. That doesn't really instill you with any kind of power or any kind of desire to learn more. It's like, well, that's great, let's do something else. So, but if you walked up to me and said, so what do you do, Dave? And I said, I'm part of this amazing team that's been around for about 8 years. We actually promote this health challenge where people can lose weight, get fit, and make between $5,000 and $10,000 a month. In fact, there are over 80,000 people a month who join this system. Is that something to be interested in? Something like that. I'm not saying that's the best, but again, I had specifics, I had numbers, I talked about results, and I was excited about it. Not like the health challenge is pretty cool. You're actually, if you feel excited about it, they're going to pick up on that, and they're going to want to join your team, or at least learn more, which is really the point of the elevator pitch. The key point he made is the key point of the elevator pitch isn't to sell your business at all. That's not the point. The point is to make an appointment so you can talk and learn to get to know each other, and if it seems appropriate, then you can offer your business. And again, see the attorney are looking at me, offer your business in a very ethical, upright, and friendly way. You don't have to do the hard sell, you don't have to twist arms, just meet someone. If you see the opportunity, present your business. But if you have a really bad elevator pitch or a weak elevator pitch, the odds of you getting a follow-up appointment, or actually having them say, yeah, I want to see you for a one-on-one, start to reduce. So, that was the basics of what I picked up on at the Blair Senior event. Let me get one more spot. See him rounding up. So, any questions on what I've taught so far? We're getting close to time here. As far as the slides we shared, any questions specifically about this? Anyone have any comments or questions?
That was very good.
One little thing, and this is the book at the end. Again, I'm not selling these. I do have a friend that actually bought a bunch to sell to other friends. So if you do want one, I can get them for you about what we paid for them, which is the cost of these. I think it's just, in fact, coming out. It might even be out there. But in the back of the book, you talk about your little voice. And what that little voice is, if you're asking, what is that little voice? That's your little voice. Someone's asking you questions and going through all that stuff. So the back of the book actually covers 21 different techniques and tips you can use to control your little voice. So he talks about just things you can do, a literal explanation of picturing your voice and then putting your hand out and stopping it, snatching your little voice and saying, I'm not listening to you. But if you want to take a peek at this book, feel free to walk up, look through it, just please don't take it.
Name of the book again, please?
Little Voice Mastery by Blair Singer. So, again, great concepts. And what he taught, if you read Sales Dogs and you've read this book, what I learned at the seminar is probably covered 80% of it from the seminar came from these books. It's his foundational teachings. He's got lots of great tools between the flashcards, software programs, different audios for fitness, for success, for sales. And one key thing he did too, before I get off, I forgot to mention this, is that during the seminar, he actually had all of us learn a speech, a famous speech, like JFK, Martin Luther King, Henry V, even Tommy Boy, which is kind of the other side of it, trying to be funny, bringing ourselves out, but he had us then go up on stage and model that speech. Give it like your Martin Luther, give it like your JFK, speech inflection, gestures, body language, because the more you can model in those successful people, that's actually going to become part of who you are. So I got Henry V, so I got to practice my English accent, which was a lot of fun doing that, but it sounds like part of who you are. So those are my nuggets, that's what I've learned. Ron?
Is there a website that we can look at?
Yes, there is. Yeah, I think this is blairsenior.com. And I think Little Voice Mastery, if you just Google Little Voice Mastery, you'll see it because he's been around for a while and he has all the tools and things you can buy. But that's, again, the highlights of 2 weeks, two full days of a weekend comprised in about 20-25 minutes. I hope that was some useful information. And that's all I have.
Very good.